I'm Lisa. Namaskaram and welcome to today's Saturday Sit. We're talking today about what meditation is not. And this is a kind of a continuation of our chat in our last session, focusing on what meditation is. This entire month, we're focusing on this theme of installing a stillness practice and what that looks like and why do it, and then doing it actually to practice together. So we talked in our last session about a snow globe and used it as this metaphor of how when things are shaken up and cloudy, we have no clarity, and how when we become still and the snow globe, as our metaphor, becomes still, the clarity arises. We can see the scene itself, what's in the snow globe and what's in our lives doesn't need to change, but our perspective changes when we're able to sit still on a regular basis. So today, what we're talking about is what meditation is not, which is a little harder to do. So I'm going to lean on someone I consider a friend, although I've never met her, Brene Brown, who is an author and a researcher and a great storyteller, and has really devoted her life and her work to researching shame and vulnerability and how we relate with one another. So she has this anecdote that I refer to when I am trying to bring this point home of being in a briar patch. And she shares a story that she experienced when she was in therapy, and she had gone to this, fancy therapist, the therapist that sees therapists kind of thing. And she just said, I am overwhelmed. I'm anxious. I'm frustrated. I need something. Give me a pill, a coping, something that I can wear as a shell, because I feel like I'm in the briar patch. And so I need some mechanism to protect myself. So she went on, and her therapist sat and kind of waited for her to finish. And she just looked at her and said, well, alternatively, you could get out of the briar patch. And when she shared this anecdotal experience, it just resonated with me. And I find it to be a very helpful way to describe what meditation's not, because there is this idea that somehow meditation is a coping mechanism or a place we escape to. We talk about this on a regular basis, that it's not an escape, that meditation and the practice of creating a stillness practice, the practicing meditation, is a coming home. It's not a leaving. It's not going somewhere. So, and it's learning to stay, and that's what the practice part is, because it's not easy. And when we aren't doing this regularly, even sometimes when we do, it's hard. So we practice this, but it's not a Band-Aid. It's not something to numb us. It's actually just, quite the opposite. So again, focusing on what meditation is not. We're going to explore that in our actual practice today. So I also like to just share a benefit of meditation each time we come together. Last week, we talked about perspective, the clarity that arises when we're able to be still and let things in our lives just quiet and settle, let the narrative drop. So that perspective is certainly a great benefit. But there's another benefit that kind of goes along with our meditation today, which is that when we regularly show up in our meditation space, we learn to integrate all of the parts of us. And what that allows is for us to just be one person. And maybe you're not like me, but for years, and I mean years, I felt like I was playing different roles that were dictating how I was showing up in certain situations. So in corporate America, I got to be one person. In my family, I got to be one person. When I was with my friends, when I was in my, spiritual practice, one person. And when we regularly visit and directly touch this stillness in ourselves, we find a way to let all of these different parts of us sort of integrate, and life becomes a little bit easier because we're not always kind of pivoting and reading the room. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. But once we become aware that that's what we're doing, we have an opportunity to integrate and just be one person. So that's just a huge lever that meditation helps us pull. So moving now just into some information about the meditation itself. When we're learning to sit and to come home and to stay with ourselves, we want to create a space that feels like home. So however you can personalize your meditation space, whether it be flowers or candles, incense, could be photograph or piece of clothing, maybe that draws you to someone that you're thinking about in that particular moment, but we want to make it very comfortable. We also want to sit with a straight spine. We want to let our shoulders fall and let our head tilt up just a little bit so that we're in a nice receptive mode. And as a reminder, we already talked about, meditation not being an escape door, um, quite the opposite. But also I want to remind us that we're not judging ourselves. This isn't a place that we come to evaluate anything, least of all our performance or our skill at being able to do this. What we're really doing is we're observing, and that's all. We're just letting things settle. We're letting the snowflakes settle. It's lightly snowing here in Maryland today, and it's a very gray sky. So everything is kind of naturally working with our practice today. I will lead us through several cycles of breathing, and I will hold the count for us and let that drop away as we go. And I will begin and end the session with a yogic invocation in Sanskrit, which is basically just inviting light and immortality and truth and peace into our space today. So without further delay, we'll go ahead and get started. And we're just going to settle in and take some deep breaths. Begin our practice. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Riturma Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Beginning with the in-breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and rest. Inhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and rest. Inhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and hold. Inhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and rest. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and rest. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and rest. Inhaling, exhaling, 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 inhaling, exhaling. Continuing our breathing at a pace that's comfortable for us. If our minds have wandered, we just come on back. Counting out loud or to ourselves is a great way to keep us from wandering off. As we relax into our natural breathing pattern, let's bring to mind this idea of the briar patch, a place where we need protection, where we need a shell. The proverbial briar patch is when we're in places that feel like we're exposed. We need our armor. Our armor may be booze, it may be food or online addiction, it may be shopping or trauma, stories we tell ourselves. All of these are ways that we wear shells. Meditation is not a shell. It's getting out of places where we feel we need to stay closed. Establishing our stillness practice trains us to let that armor go and make choices about where we want to be. Choices that don't require so much armor, so much escape, so much protection. This stillness practice of ours is this place. We have the courage to show up for ourselves as ourselves. And we come back to it and we get to know it. And we take this safe, unguarded experience out into our lives in very small doses. And as we take some final deep breaths here in our session, really letting this feeling of being safe and being ourselves dance and sink in. Feeling safe, feeling ourselves far away from a briar patch of any kind. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Ritangamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaskaram. And that is what meditation is not. Thank you again for being here this morning. We will be back again at 11 o'clock next Saturday morning. Hope to see you here. We will be focusing on confidence and the role of meditation in developing confidence, which is literally translated as self-trust. So we're going to talk about that. In the meantime, I always want to invite you to our community of healing and connection called Scars to Meadows. Love to have you sign up and join the community. We are in soft launch mode, but we're building this space each and every day. This is a place to come together to do more of what we're doing here, which is to become more of ourselves, to connect, to heal, and to learn to take our deepest pains and wear them as our biggest medals of love. Additionally, if you are so inspired or interested in my own story, I have self-published a book on Amazon called The Healing Path, Part 1, Stay Present. It's the first in a series of 3, and that is now available. We'll be sharing that link in the chat along with the link to go to Scars to Meadows and sign up for the community. And finally, we'll also be sharing in the chat a PDF of how to install this meditation practice. It's a 10-step, very easy read, very easy to do. I should say simple, not so easy, but simple. And we've tried to break it down in a very doable, easy, simple, repeatable process. So if you're interested in establishing this, that's a great place to start. And I'd love to hear how you're doing. I've often shared that I started my own meditation practice by meditating 1 minute a day, because for the first 20 years that I started to try to meditate, I couldn't get it going. And I had some ambitious goals, like even 10 minutes a day is a lot. So it's start it, pick a time, pick a place, show up for yourself, no matter how quickly or short of a duration it is. It's just more important to establish the process. And as James Clear says in Atomic Habits, one of my favorite books, make it so easy you can't fail. That's a great way to start any new habit. So thank you again for being here. Namaskaram. I wish you success in exploring this idea of getting out of the briar patches of your own life and needing less armor, and seeing what that can actually feel like and how it might enrich your own experience. Have a great Saturday. Thanks again for being here. Namaskaram.